everybody, welcome to BrickVault. My name's Jack. Today we are doing an episode all about this. Last week I did an episode that sort of rebuilt a destroyed Ultimate Collector Series ATST, and in that video I was like, by the way, this thing's all crazy warped on the inside. If you want to see that, I'll make a video. And the overwhelming response from you guys in the comment section was, yes, I want to see that video. So, I'm gonna pull this thing out from the back, and I'm not lying to you, this thing on the inside is super warped. I'm also gonna do just like a review, just show you everything, bring that into the light box, make it look real good. But I'm gonna pull this out of the backdrop and hopefully not break it. Gosh, that is nerve-wracking every single time I move this thing. As soon as I put this thing back after the light box, that is it. I'm not touching this anymore. First thing I also noticed is that this thing is crazy dusty. I'll let you guys see what that is and maybe do some dusting off of this thing, because it's in a pretty bad state. I shouldn't let your Lego get as bad as this one is. But I'll bring this into the light box and I'll show you the bowing on the inside. You probably won't be able to see it that well anyways from this angle. So let's bring it into the light box. Alright, so here it is, the Ultimate Collector Star Destroyer set number 10030. As you can see, I'm brushing it down a little bit. I noticed, well, this thing is just incredibly dusty. If I zoom it in for you, you can see what the heck I'm talking about. And the crazy, terrible thing is all of that dust is pretty much stuck on there. I can brush against it as much as I like, and there is a little bit of surface area dust that gets on there, but pretty much it looks about the same. You rub it with your finger, and it's all still staying there. So, unfortunately, this model is gonna be what I like to call forever dusty. Now, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of ways you can dust your Lego sets and get this even really sticky stuff off if you need to, but in order to do it properly, usually you have to take the model apart, and, well, I'm just not about to commit to that. So for now, a good once-over with a stiff brush should be enough to get the most recent layer of dust off. And while I'm doing that, I might as well tell you about the set. I did say it was set number 10030, but what I failed to mention is that this set came out all the way back in 2002, pretty much right around the beginning of the Star Wars license, well, 1999, so 3 years after. Back then, it retailed for $270 or 250 pounds. Nowadays, if you want to buy the set used, something like this, a dusty, sort of bent up, warped one, it's gonna cost around $800. And if you can manage to find somebody who's gotten this set still inside the box, it goes for over $2 grand. Now you might be thinking to yourself, what the heck, these are all just gray parts, they should be pretty easy and cheap to find on Bricklink. And a lot of those pieces, yes, that might be the case, but you'd be surprised what might run you over. For instance, those lever pieces with light bluish gray handles right towards the top, and there's a bunch more on the body. I would say they run for about $4 minimum, but most vendors are selling them closer to $5 a pop. Yes, just for that single stud piece. So I don't know, the build might have something like 50 or more there. And then on the interior, we have these nice little tan magnet pieces, and I think that goes for anywhere between $13 to $15 a pop. And that's not including the other magnetic black counterpart piece that is of a similar price. I haven't researched it enough to find out what other little pieces here are gonna be just way too much, but needless to say, yeah, some retired parts just sort of skyrocket in the Lego market after the fact. Anyways, I hope you've been noticing how awesome this thing looks even close up. There is so much detail, and for a build that is pretty much primarily just light gray, light bluish gray, it looks awesome. I mean, there really is a lot to see. There's a lot to notice. The designers added a ton of detail on the inside, and all of those pieces really do give it a nice grandiose scale. But you know what? I think I mentioned in this episode that I was going to show you how bowing out this model is. So here it is from afar, and it doesn't look like this model has bowed a bit. I mean, right now the Star Destroyer looks just like it should look, you know, back from when it was first built. But let's check out what these Technic bricks on the interior look like, and you might have a better idea of what I'm talking about. So as the screen pans over, this last bit here really does curve down, and you might think it's something with the lens, so let me change up the shot a little bit. Here, when it is zoomed out, you can see that the back really does curve down quite a bit, and even further out you can see a better scale. But here I am now attaching this Technic little thing I made. It's perfectly straight and attached to the long part of the body, and now you can see just how deep the back of the ship dips down. Here is the shot just a little bit closer, and you can really see it's almost an entire brick bent through by the time you get to the end of the ship. Now when I take the brick out and I really zoom in on the back plate, you can see two plate pieces getting closer from one end to the next. So even as the Technic brick is bending, even those last two stacks are really starting to compress on top of each other. That's a lot of weight in Lego. So let me just reattach this underside panel one more time, and I can show you a few more shots of the Star Destroyer. There might have been a couple of details that I think I left out a little bit, and namely the back. The back looks so good. Starting at one corner, we've got, once again, a bunch of nice little tiny details there, and things kind of simplify themselves a little bit. We've got those nice large wheel pieces. I'm sure they're really hard to get your hands on as well. And I know some of you might be thinking that the back here might be a little bit sparse, but what is so great and I love so much is that these studs are all showing outwards. There's no underside of the stud on anything here showing, and that makes this build look so solid. This is a great example of a really complete undercarriage, and I honestly feel like if this was a Ultimate Collector Series set design today, they probably would have sacrificed some detail back here. Heck, when I think about it, the AT-ST had a ton of underside studs just on the back of the legs, and that thing came out in 2006, just 4 years after this. So good from the back here. Let's check out the back of the neck there. What's funny is those dark gray bar pieces is some of the most dark gray that you actually see in the entire set, which is kind of an interesting little note. But yeah, once again, totally complete. All of the detail that's put here was meant to be appreciated just as much as, well, everything that looks great in the front. Did I say front? I guess I didn't show off the bridge and the shield generators towards the front. That gap in the middle isn't my favorite, but yes, this is a pretty direct on shot. I probably could have leveled out the top a little bit better. And wait a second, I am seriously just noticing this right now while I record the voiceover, but I'm totally missing a little wedge piece that is in the bottom left. My bad. I'll put that on later. Definitely not bringing this out of the studio a second time. Just a couple more shots of the Star Destroyer. Here it is where the midsection is pretty much at eye level. You can see there's a bit of space between the two panels on the top and bottom, but that closes off pretty quickly, and we've got just a better look at all of these little details. So many tiny pieces that work all the way back, and actually at this level you can see a little bit of warble on the plates right towards the end. Not a huge amount, but yeah, there might just be a tiny bit of bending in the external shape of the Star Destroyer, but not really enough to make me think that it is sort of losing its integrity. Also, the set came with this little MIDI-ish scale Tantive 4 blockade runner. This is Princess Leia's ship. I like the build for the back, and the midsection is okay. The head kind of looks a little bit funky compared to the rest of the body, and also apologies for the dust. Now, it does scale perfectly with the Star Destroyer, which is really why it's there. It looks great as a tiny little set, and that is how they scale to each other within the Star Wars universe. So you have an idea of just how massive the Star Destroyer can end up being. By the way, this is just a close-up shot of the sticker that comes with the Ultimate Collector Series Star Destroyer. It's got some of the stats on there. And all right, I think I've said all that I can say about the set. It is an epic build, truly an Ultimate Collector Series set, because it does stand the test of time, especially considering it is one of the oldest of all time. The bricks may bend, but this thing isn't coming apart until they break, or until I drop it, or like an earthquake or something. All right, so that is pretty much always going to be stressful moving that thing around. The weight is a little bit offset when you've removed one of the side panel pieces, so it kind of wants to jump away from you just a little bit, which gives you a little heart attacks. But anyways, wonderful build. I hope you guys could see the interior bending of those Technic pieces I was talking about. It doesn't feel like it's actually going to break apart. It is pretty solid still, and that is a good testament to just how well this thing is designed. So I hope you enjoyed this little episode. I like making these videos for you guys, so if you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.